I like, click, subscribe, do all that. You already know what time it is. It's Netflix time. This movie's called She's Dating a Gangster. To make another woman jealous, a campus heartthrob asks a fellow student to be his pretend girlfriend, but fate has other plans for the fake couple. So it's a Filipino teen love story that came out in 2014. It's about almost 2 hours long. Spoiler alert, let's get it. So here we have Kenji making a toast at a wedding ceremony. While that's going on, his son Kenneth is trying to get it poppin' with some chick in the bathroom. I guess the girl grandpa catches him. Yeah, you been caught, get up out of there! And as he was chasing him, Kenneth runs into the daggone wedding cake. Look at all types of stupid! So basically Kenji's mad that his son's up here ruining weddings and whatnot. And ever since his mom died, he's been acting like some type of rebel or something. But then as he left, he told his dad, I wish him and his mom could trade places. I was like, damn, that's kinda harsh. Anyway, him and his friend go out for drinks later on. Why were they riding in a limousine type hearse? Anyway, they got fired. He went back in the house and went to sleep. He went ahead and did whatever he wanted because he knew his dad was going to Hong Kong the next day. But then the next morning, the maid starts waking up like crazy and tells him that he had switched the plane to the Plaza, whatever the place is called. And he finds out in the news that plane went down. It was like 50 people on it, including his dad. So he goes there trying to get any information on it, trying to figure out where his dad is. Then this chick named Kaya comes out of nowhere causing a scene. Then she puts on this fake crying act, trying like she's looking for somebody as the camera's rolling on her. But then she says she's looking for Kenji too, and Kenneth is like, the fuck? She claims she's related, but then Kenneth knows that's bullshit. Then she pulls this picture out of her wallet where you can't really tell what it is, but it's supposed to be Kenji and her aunt Athena. Then he's like, alright, I'm gonna need you to start answering some questions right now. Like for one, who the fuck are you? So she bribes him into getting some food first. Then she starts telling this backstory. Alright, it confused me at first because I see how similar they look, but then I realized these are their characters from back then. This is supposed to be Athena from back then, but she looks like Kaya, right? And this is Kenji from back then, but he looks like Kenneth, right? Now we got that out of the way, back to the story. Then she starts talking about how his dad was in love with her aunt. But he doesn't believe that because he only believes that he loved his mom, who has passed away. The crazy thing is his mom and her aunt both had the same name. So after all the back and forth, they both agree to help them find their significant others. Or their fathers and moms or whatever. He's trying to get a ticket at the bus station, but he says the joint's all full, you gotta wait till tomorrow morning. He wakes up the next day a little bit too late, but Kayla's already got both tickets. So they get on the bus, she starts annoying him and shit, until she brings up Athena again, then we get into some backstory. So back in the day when they were in class, Athena somehow texted Kenji and told her she'd meet him somewhere. But because Kenji was already dating somebody named Athena, he thought it was her. Well, his girlfriend, turns out it was actually her. Her and her friends go to the pool hall. They tried to get one pool table. He told them to move. I'm taking this pool table. But really, he's not even playing pool. He's just sitting there waiting on his girl, Athena. The other Athena approaches him. Then these other quote-unquote gang dudes try to get him off the table. He fights the dudes off and then goes right back to sitting down. Then they end up beating the hell out of him. Then Athena's just watching as Kenji is basically just sitting there waiting on the real Athena or his girlfriend Athena to actually show up. So basically, whether they were in the right or wrong, it's basically your fault he got beat up. Sitting there waiting on his girlfriend who never sent that message because you sent the message and you never told him. Next day, she all concerned about him in class, and he trying to figure out why she's staring at me like that. Then as she's eating lunch, Kenji goes over towards the phone and starts calling numbers, and it's like, oh shit, he's about to call the beeper to figure out who it really was. And he wants to talk to her. More so, she owes him. Yeah, he knows you sent the message. You fucked up. So she thinks he's about to go off on her, but then he kisses her out the blue. But the thing was, he kind of did this on purpose. Because as it turns out, the other Athena is not really his girlfriend no more, and he's trying to make her jealous. So he wants this Athena to be her pretend girlfriend. She's caught off guard, but she's also reluctant to the idea. The next day, as she wakes up, she hears a knock at the door and it's ended up being Kenji. He greeted himself to the family as a boyfriend and she just goes along with it. But she goes back to school and still not willing to play by his game. And they pretty much tease her with love messages on the board, getting her in trouble with the teacher, making her scrub down the walls. But Athena still hasn't given in yet. But she does feel something for him, seeing how he would fight for her and really wants to get her back at all costs. But she's willing to go the distance to resist him. Until he decides, fuck it, I'm just gonna kill myself. And this, by the way, is the other Athena that broke up with him, who wasn't really paying him no attention up until this point. Ex-girlfriend Athena looks at this Athena, and Athena finally concedes. She's finally going to pretend to be Kenji's girlfriend. And she makes it official with her parents and all that. Everybody's happy, but her father's kind of skeptical about it. Her father being the blue shirt. She tells her homegirl everything I just told you. She's like, alright, I see how you be looking at him. Don't be falling in love. She's like, alright, whatever. Random tidbit, but at school she calls him the Gangster for some reason. And I'm like, what makes him so gangster? Just because he got a crew with bandanas on and ride around on skateboards? Is that what it is? Because that's all it is, and the fact that I guess he's supposed to be quote-unquote tough. Like, come on. He tells her to get changed and forces her to put on this one shirt, but it's really so they can have matching shirts and look like a couple. And that just precious. And she wants to learn how to play pool. He's like, man, you just gonna get in the way. But as soon as the other Athena shows up, he's quick to teach her how to play pool, huh? Well, anyway, afterwards, this group scares her into dropping all her damn papers. Kids are just so rude. Well, anyway, this guy helps her out by the name of Lucas. Girls in the car over there hating, but all he was trying to do was figure out where the athletic department was or something like that. Next day, the same girls in school come picking on Athena, throwing volleyballs at her and shit, and she gets chased out the gym. Kenji sees her crying like, yo, what's good? What happened? But she ain't trying to say nothing because she don't want to get the girls in trouble. So he takes her back to her house, nurses her back to health, and fixes her glasses. Then they get to talking and learn more about each other's background. Kenji never knew his father. His mom and his sister live in America somewhere. The maid has always been taking care of him. Athena's always had her parents, but in a different sort of manner. The thing is, there's something else wrong with her too, but I'll get to that later. So Kenji's got something planned for her tomorrow. He introduces her to a stylist and gives her one hell of a makeover. Well, damn, girl, you look even better than I hoped. That's what it is. But you know, he got played off and like, you look alright. She's like, I know I look good. Why your jaw drop when you see me then, huh? What about that? And his skateboarding buddies approve. She's like, yeah, I know I'm the shit. What's good? And now they match and wearing the same glasses as each other and shit. Then at school, somebody set it up for the girls to be all lined up ready to punish him. She's like, nah, them kneeling in front of the school is punishment enough. And besides, I got you. Athena got the concerned look on her face because Kenji and the other Athena getting born popping. Her middle name is Abigail too, so we just gonna call her Abigail. Fuck that. It's time for basketball, and in movies like this, he's gotta be the best player on the team, right? And this boo cheering her on with signs and everything. Now keep in mind, this is all supposed to be an act so Kenji could get back with Abigail, which is obviously supposed to be making her jealous, but you can tell they feeling each other for real. And your friend picking up on it too. She see the sparkles in your eyes. Then they go to the arcade to play some video games. Yeah, she just enjoys being around them at this point. Honestly, I'm just showing you this part to see what games they're playing for real, for real. They had a bunch of classics in there, but I think they blurred the screens on purpose. Maybe for copyright, who knows, goddammit. But as she's going to use the bathroom, she bumps into Lucas, who apparently has a girlfriend. So he talks to Athena and is like, oh, it's a coincidence I bumped into you. Oh, snap, she's actually messing with Abigail. And then out of nowhere, Kenji punched Lucas and was like, stop talking to Athena. I'm thinking to myself, he ain't even have to go overboard like that. But considering what I know now, you'll see why he did in a minute. So anyway, Athena is putting ice on his cheek, and Kenji told her he was starting to have feelings for her, and she was like, yeah, her chest starts hurting. And you think that's an adorable sentiment, but that's not really why her chest is hurting. And when she gets home, her dad's like, yo, eventually you gotta tell Kenji the situation. What situation? Next day they're at school, Athena doesn't show up and she gets no messages from him. He asks the best friend where she's been at. He's like, oh, she probably just been with family. But she's got that look like she knows her situation. Later on, she gets back to the house, she's just lying in bed. She's got to use a breathing tech or more like a big inhaler. Alright, so basically her situation is she can't let her emotions get the best of her because she has some type of heart condition. Which in her case, if her anxiety jumps up, she's not able to breathe and she could possibly die. So that's why she's really never been able to confront her feelings, you know what I'm saying? And this is why the aunt always wanted her to stay at home and do homeschool. But her dad still wanted her to have a life. So yeah, man, that fucking sucks. So at this point, he finally meets up with her. And Kenji's confused. He wants to be with her, but you gotta keep in mind, he has abandonment issues. But she don't want to tell him the reason because she knows he's a good guy and he'll be forced to leave her alone. And she loves him too much. She wants to be around him. And on the steps, she finally admits that she's fallen in love with him. He breaks down and tells her the same thing. That explanation will slide for now, but eventually you're gonna have to tell him. Now we get back to real time with Kayla and Kenneth still on the bus. And with all this new information, Kenneth doesn't even know how to handle it. Because now he knows the situation between his past mom and Athena. The only thing he can think about is regret because he told his dad he wished he had died instead of mom. And considering where the plane is and he doesn't know where his dad is and the condition, he's like all types of fucked up right now. So Kayla jumps out in the middle of the street just stopping cars just to make sure that Kenneth gets to see his dad. Then we flash back to the school with these quote-unquote certified gangsters. And Athena and her friend is like, what's the occasion? And Kenji messed around and got a makeover too so he could look just like his girl. She's like, alright, sure, let's roll with that. That was the day they went in the booth and took pictures. And that's the picture Kayla showed Kenneth at the beginning of the movie. Then they start bonding on the back of the truck. Then we flash back to Kenji and Athena and he's taking her to the special place. He ends up taking her to this mountain that she hasn't seen in forever. Just a perfect romantic setting. Then she's talking about if I was to die right now, I'm glad I'm here with you. And we're all like, damn it, I know how you feel about this, but you gotta tell him. And of course, she doesn't have the heart to do it. I swear I wasn't trying to make a pun when I said that. In real time, Kayla takes Kenneth to a church so they can pray. Then they head out to find his dad. Back at home, the family is worried sick about Athena because she's been out for longer than expected. And she's like, sorry, Dad, I don't mean to make you worry or anything like that, but I gotta live life, and I gotta love life, and Kenji's part of that life. They know it sucks, but they understand. Next day, she goes to school, but then Kenji doesn't show up. She goes to the pool spot. Her friend Sarah's about to leave, and she's like, nah, I'm staying. I'm waiting on him. Then we go back to real time. We can't find his dad. Then he gets a call from his uncle. So they're riding around the car, the uncle catching up on things. Then he asks the question, well, how come my dad and Athena didn't end up together? This is where everything turns left and ties in together. So back then, while Athena was still waiting on Kenji, Lucas comes giving Athena a message from Kenji telling her that he's at the hospital. But she's like, what's he doing at the hospital? Turns out he's at the hospital looking after Athena Abigail. Oh shit, what's she in the hospital for? Well, Abigail's mom comes in and tells us that she's on the 3rd stage of cancer. So that's why she broke up with Kenji in the first place. Because she didn't see a future and she didn't want to hold Kenji down. And that's why she was totally ignoring him in school. And that's why she only got concerned when she thought she was serious with Athena. Athena goes to visit her, learns all this. While they're seeing Athena, Kenji's with Abigail's mom, and she's telling Kenji to just please stay by her side at the time of need and all that stuff. But at the same time, Abigail's pushing him away, and she feels like she's glad that Kenji's in Athena's hands, and she knows that she'll take good care of him. The fucked up thing is, don't nobody know about her heart condition, so she's pretty much just in bad as shape as Abigail is. So you can see how all this is crushing on both sides of the spectrum. Lucas knows all this is messed up, but he has no idea how much weight is on her shoulders of Athena. Kenji then later on catches Athena before she leaves, and she loves him so much, but because of her condition, she ends up breaking Abigail's promise. She hugs him, and that was the last time they saw each other. Yeah, man, that shit is wild. Then Kayla gets a call from her family saying that her aunt is having a heart attack. So they drop Kenji back off at the spot and tells Kayla to go ride with her uncle to go see her aunt. Now, out the blue, I don't know how he found out which hospital it was, but he searches through and he finds his dad. Then he looks to his wallet and he sees this long-ass apology letter to his son, talking about he came here not to be with Athena but to say goodbye to her one last time. Dad wakes up, they hug it out, all that. So once Dad gets out the hospital, they get him to the house. He meets up with the old OGs, the quote-unquote certified gangsters in the streets. They get him back his bandana, thinking he tough. And then his son has another surprise for him. And then through the back door, Kaya brings out Athena. Oh shit. He's gotta be thinking so many things right now. Like, first off, how does his son know about Kaya? 2, I haven't seen Athena in 20 years. Obviously, so many emotions are going through his head right now, as is Athena. They sit out to talk and enjoy the atmosphere, bring up a lot of past memories, tell one another they love each other. She lays on his shoulder. And as they watch from a distance, she finally let go and she died right there in his arms. Wow. I don't even know what to say about all that. That's just wow. Next day, the phone rings for Kaya. They end up calling her about a certain flight that Kenneth is on. She's like, what the fuck? She gets there, she's looking for Kenneth, she starts crying. Then she starts naming all these great qualities about him. But the crazy thing is, he set all this up to get her back. And he wants to create their own love story together. Well, that was a wild ride. So it seemed like the first half of it was pretty goofy, you know, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. But then the other half of it tended to get relatively serious. And you see more why certain characters acted the way they acted early on. So yeah, it kind of caught me off guard because I expected pure goofiness throughout the entire film. She's Dating a Gangster on Netflix. Check it out. Like, click, subscribe, do all that. You know the time of this. Sleep easy, all easy, mister. Big. You the goddamn slogan.